Ladies, gentlemen, and people who beat themselves up. Andy here. I went from depressed and suicidal to living a life of abundance and joy and sitting in a very dark room with a lot of moody lighting. It's early in the morning. I don't have the sun coming on this side of my face, so we're very dark. If I can do all that, you sure as hell can too. Let's jump straight into this comment that I got that I think, man, I have so much to say about this because this is a lot of you. This is a guy who wants to go out and start saying hello to women, start approaching them, start having some amazing, fun sexual experiences with them. But he's beating himself up a little bit, and I don't know if he even knows that he's doing it. And it might be a lot of you doing the same thing. So let's read this out. This is from a guy called Ben, username Benny Wenny. What an amazing username. And he says, "Hey, Andy, hope you're doing good. I am, my friend. I appreciate that. I really look up to you, MPMD, which is More Plates, More Dates, a guy on YouTube, and he actually came from Good Looking Loser, which is a website where I learned a lot of what I know now. And he goes on to say, and Chris from Good Looking Loser, yeah, the guy that I just mentioned. I used to see your comments on Good Looking Loser all the time. It sucks that website is no more. But through the power of friendship and magic of the internet, his stuff is all archived. There's a website called theredarchive.com. Just Google The Red Archive, and then there's Good Looking Loser. All of the articles that he ever made have been archived, and you can just read everything. All of my shit's archived on here too. Like, whoever's doing this, I appreciate the fucking effort you're putting in. Someone's been archiving a lot of self-improvement male sites. Anyway, he goes on to say, the way that you guys talk about approaching women gives me real optimism for the future. I want to be able to approach and speak to the girls naturally. I don't want to continue to be one of those timid beta dudes who can only talk to women in a flirty masculine demeanor. When I've drank a few drinks, it kills my self-esteem. Okay, so here's the first little bit of beating yourself up. And that's okay. Lots of people beat themselves up. We're saying, I don't want to be one of those timid beta dudes. A person who isn't able to approach women and hit on them, he's not a timid beta dude. That's just a normal human being. The vast majority of people are incredibly scared to talk to someone that they don't know. That doesn't make them timid. That doesn't make them a beta. That doesn't make them a loser. And I say all of this, I mean, you'll see in a second why I say all of this, but when we use those labels and make it such a big thing of like, I can't be a timid fucking beta male, I have to go and be an alpha, you're making it into a big, scary thing with all this fear around it. Like, what if I live my life as a beta male and I'm a fucking loser? Oh, God, it's so scary. And you end up freaking yourself out. And it makes it harder to take action because you see it as this massive, like, David versus Goliath battle. But if you instead reduce that amount of stress and fear and say, I'm just going to go outside and try saying hello to a woman. I'm just going to say hi to some girls. It's not so scary. It's easier to take steps. It's easier to take action. And that is what I talk about in my Approach Anxiety program, which I will talk about in a second. So let's keep reading. He goes on to say, there have been a lot of girls that I've slept with that I'd be terrified to bump into on the street when I'm sober. I want to have this handled, but right now I am a little pussy. So I find it very interesting. I have so much to say on this. I find it very interesting that some of you guys, a lot of people, women do the same thing. A lot of people are very hard on themselves and will use phrases like what you just said there, I'm a little pussy. You don't know about something called reinforcement learning. This thing here, it's usually a term that's used with like machine learning and AI and stuff like that, but the principle still applies. So reinforcement learning, as the name implies, is basically teaching by just reinforcing something. You do it over and over again, and then you learn something. And so when you say to yourself, I am a little pussy, you're literally teaching yourself, I am a pussy. Even though you're saying, I don't want to be a pussy, all your brain hears is, I'm a pussy, I'm a little pussy, I'm a beta male, I'm a pussy, I'm a pussy. And then when you go outside to actually try and talk to a woman, your brain goes, well, I'm a pussy. You've told me 1,000 times that I'm a pussy, and pussies don't talk to women. So why would I talk to that woman over there? I'm a pussy. I'm not going to do it. Like, you literally make it harder for yourself through reinforcement learning to actually go and talk to a woman. And that, above all else, is why we don't use labels, like negative labels, why we try not to beat ourselves up. And if you are beating yourself up, that's okay. You don't have to beat yourself up for beating yourself up. But it's funny how easy and nefarious it is to beat yourself up, isn't it? Like, I literally did a video on this, 5 days ago, called How to Stop Beating Yourself Up, Positive Mindset. And it's a video that almost all of you could, apply to your own lives, because almost all of you, are really hard on yourselves, and you'll, through reinforcement learning, reinforce, I'm a pussy, I'm not good enough, I'm a loser, I'm a piece of shit, no one would ever like me. I've heard so many of you that come to coaching or leave a comment, or just, people that come to the live streams, where you say, like, I am a loser because I'm short. And you've told yourself that 10,000 times. And then when it comes time to talking to a woman, you don't do it because you're like, why would I? I'm short. I'm a loser. She's probably going to reject me. She probably won't like me. And you don't even try. And so the kindest thing that you could ever do for yourself is just be neutral. Like, don't say anything. Just say, like, tell the truth. Instead of saying, I'm a little pussy, just say, I have some fear. That's the God's honest statement. That's the truth. It's not that you're a pussy. That's a value judgment. That's a story that you're telling. I talked about this in the Play to Win video course. This beautiful course right here. I have a chapter called Everything is a Story, and you're in control of the stories that you tell. And I literally talked about how you can sit there and call yourself a pussy, but that's just one story. That's one way of viewing it. You could view it in a completely different way and say, I'm a man of courage because I'm willing to embrace this. And so let's go back and look at what you said here. You obviously have all of this fear, and a lot of you feel the exact same way. You feel all this fear when it comes to talking to women, but you've been able to do it. You even say, there's been a lot of girls that I've slept with while I had a few drinks. You're telling the story that means you're a pussy. That means you're not good enough. You couldn't do it sober. Wow, I'm a loser. Look at how much I'm just not able to do something courageous when I'm sober. I want to tell a different story. I want to tell the story of, like, wow, look at the courage that you showed. You had a few drinks and you were able to have sex with these beautiful women. That's courageous. That's ballsy as fuck. A lot of people can't even do it drunk. So you've done more than zero. You've done more than nothing. You've done something amazing, and you are amazing. And now all we're doing is just practicing doing it with a little bit less alcohol. See how that's much easier and much more approachable than saying, I'm a pussy and I have to figure this out. God, I got to stop being a beta male. What's wrong with me? I have to fucking stop having these drinks. Like, this is killing my self-esteem. That all sounds very intimidating. The story that you're telling sounds like this big, massive David versus Goliath battle where you're like, how do I overcome my alcohol fucking dependence? I got to stop using this crutch and stop being a little pussy. But the story that I, Andy, tell of your life is, wow, look at this courageous guy who's been able to go out there, talk to some women, have a bit of alcohol to help him. Holy fuck, that's ballsy. Do you want to try it with a little bit less alcohol? If you normally have 3 drinks before you can do it, why don't you try having 2.5 drinks and get really good at that? And then try having 2 drinks and get really good at that. And then try just only needing 1 drink each night before you talk to women and get really good at that. And then one day you get to a point where, like, do I want to try without any alcohol? What if I just try sober on the street during the daytime or something and go say hi and see how that feels and feel the anxiety, feel all of that stuff, embrace it and just do my best. And if I suck, that's beautiful. If I do a good job, that's beautiful. It almost doesn't matter how good or bad a job I do. There is no good or bad. I'm nervous. I'm just doing my fucking best. And then you get really good at doing it without alcohol. What I just said to you there is essentially like an approach anxiety program. Rather than saying I have to stop the alcohol and go from 0 to 100, it's like, no, instead of trying to be perfect, why don't you just make progress? Why don't you just drink slightly less alcohol with every single woman that you talk to? So you can make this stuff easier on yourself. It doesn't have to be this big fucking battle that a lot of you make. And if you have a look at my approach anxiety program, because this guy in his question, I'll scroll in a little bit so you can see the rest of his question. He wrote a lot of stuff. He goes on to ask about, like, Andy, do you like what approach anxiety program do I do? Do my approach anxiety program. Go on to killyourinaloser.com, just search for approach anxiety program. And I literally have this little approach anxiety program here. And I talk about the reasoning behind it, like why it is what it is. Here's the little simple program. It fits on the screen all at once. It's a very simple, very small program. There you go. That's my whole approach anxiety program. Give yourself permission to suck. Go outside each day and just think about hitting on women. In other words, imagine that you're hitting on each woman. Like, think about what it would be like to talk to her, what you would say, how you would ask for her phone number, all of that kind of stuff. Play it out in your head with each, cute girl that you see. And at any point, you're allowed to actually hit on them properly. And that's usually what will happen. You'll be walking around, you'll think about hitting on like 30 women, maybe 50 women, and at some point your brain will go like, fuck it, man, I'm just going to go say hi to her. Why am I walking around fantasizing about talking to women? Why don't I just actually fucking do it? You'll walk up, you'll be like, hey, I'm really scared. Please be nice to me, but I'm nervous. Like, you're cute. Are you single? And she'll go, thank you. Yeah, I am single. And you go, fuck. I've never got this far before. Shit. I'm Andy. And she's like, hi, I'm fucking Sarah or something. And you're like, what are you doing, Sarah? And she's like, I don't know. I was just shopping. You're like, okay. Do you want to go on a date with me, please? Help. And she's like, I'd love to go on a date with you. And you're like, fuck. What do I do now? Give me your number. And then you go on a date together. You don't have to be good at it. So you're allowed to think about, you're allowed to go out there and think about hitting on women. And at any point you can hit on them. Now, as I say here, if you can't, that's okay. Just keep going out and thinking about hitting on women. Every single second that you're out there is a massive success. And if you can't hit on them, like you walk around, you think about it, you can't do it, what you can do is start making eye contact with some of them. And that's a little baby step to get you a little bit more confident. Then you can start smiling at some of the women that you walk past. Just give them a big friendly smile or a little timid smile. It doesn't matter. People love smiles. They'll smile back at you and you go, wow, this is nice. I made a woman feel good and she made me feel good. That's nice. Like, you're doing something really nice. And then once that's a habit, you can start giving compliments to some women. You see a cute girl, you smile at her and she smiles back, and then you just stop for a second and get her attention. You say, hey, like, you're really pretty. Or, hey, you have a really beautiful smile. Thank you for smiling at me. You got a really beautiful smile. And then you walk off. Or you say, hey, I really like your dress. Like, your fashion is on point today. Or you can say, like, you have cool fucking shoes. Or, yo, your hair's amazing. Like, just any compliment. It really doesn't matter. As long as it's a genuine, honest compliment. Like, don't lie. But any compliment that you can possibly see. Everyone has something that you could compliment them on. Once that's a habit, then you start making a bit of small talk. So you'd walk up to a woman and be like, hey, you have like a really nice dress or something. She's like, thank you. And then you're like, what are you up to today? Like, what are you doing today? I'm Andy, by the way. And then you talk. And then from there, you ask for a phone number. That's it. I've kept this program very simple, and I talk about like why it's more simple, because if I make it more complicated, like the approach anxiety program that Andy did, I did one on the Good Looking Loser website that took like fucking 6 weeks to do. Very in-depth, very complicated. And a lot of people do half of the program and then quit because it's really intense stuff. But I have specifically made mine to fill almost a gap, which is, there's not a lot of approach anxiety programs for guys that literally can't talk to a woman yet. Like, you can't even stop her and say a compliment. And that's what this program is for. It's like, you don't have to say anything. Go outside and think about it. Go outside and smile at some women. If you can't do that, just think about smiling at women. So I've made it very approachable. So that is what I would start with. Any of you that are trying to talk to women and you don't know what to do. But let's bring it back to this topic of beating yourself up and calling yourself a pussy, saying that you're not doing a good job, like having low self-esteem and all of that. A big part of the reason why I say to not beat yourself up as much, or if you're beating yourself up, that's okay, but let's just practice being a little kinder to ourselves, one step at a time. You don't have to just suddenly stop beating yourself up. That can sometimes be difficult. So just practice a little bit more self-love, a little bit more compassion. In other words, speak to yourself the way that you would talk to your friend, your best friend. If your best friend right now was going out and approaching women, but he needed a little bit of alcohol, or he thought he needed a bit of alcohol to do that, would you be like, you're a little pussy? Would you be like, bro, you should feel shame, which is essentially what this question is. This guy feels a lot of shame and is worried. He literally says, I'd be terrified to bump into a woman on the street when I'm sober. And he feels a lot of shame around that. Would you say to your best friend, bro, you should feel shame because you're a little pussy, because you had a lot of sex, but you needed alcohol? Fuck no, you wouldn't say that to your best friend. He wouldn't be your best friend for very long. Would you say that to a random stranger? Would you be like, hey, bro, you're a little fucking pussy? Like, some guy works up the courage to go to a bar, has a drink or two, and he's like, okay, I can do this. Come on, I can fucking do this. I believe in myself. Come on, I'm going to fucking do this. He has a drink or two, and then he walks over to a girl, and he's like, fuck, hey girl, like you're really pretty. What's up? I'm Andy. Hey, how's it going? And like hits on her. They have some chemistry. They go back and have sex. Would you call that guy a little fucking pussy? Or would you be like, bro, that's amazing. Dude, look how you had to have some alcohol just to be able to work through the fucking fear, man. Holy shit, dude, you're courageous. You're amazing. That's probably what you'd say to a random stranger, right? If I see some guy get a little bit drunk so that he can approach someone, I'm like, that's called being fucking normal. Not that you need alcohol, but that is what most people do, especially in bars and clubs and stuff. Most people aren't sober in a bar or a club at night. They're nervous, they're scared, they drink, then they feel a bit better. Everyone else is drinking, so they drink too. You wouldn't call that person a pussy. You'd call them courageous. Again, this is what I'm talking about where I say, this chapter from my Play to Win video course, everything is a story and you're in control of the stories that you tell. You can tell a story that you're a little pussy or that someone would be a little pussy if they need to have alcohol, or we can tell the story of like, wow, look how courageous this human being is doing something they're scared of and they needed a little, or they thought they used a little crutch of alcohol in order to get themselves over that really strong, intense fear that they felt. Okay, the answer of how we let go of that fear is with something called exposure therapy, baby steps, having a little bit less alcohol with each person that you talk to. You can do that over a series of weeks or months. Just slowly reduce the alcohol that you're using in order to, have the confidence. And then slowly over time, you'll build that fucking confidence. Now, a big part of the reason why I talk about, not beating yourself up and not feeling or not putting shame on yourself and guilt tripping yourself, which is essentially what you're doing here, is from something called the map of consciousness. A lot of you know this map very well. I bring it up a lot in the channel. And this is essentially you could almost say like a hierarchy. It's not quite the right word for it, but almost like a hierarchy of emotions. At the very bottom, down here in shame and guilt, we have the emotions that are least productive. If you're someone that feels ashamed of yourself, like shame, or you feel guilty, or you feel apathetic, which is almost like, I guess it is just depression, it's very hard to take action. That seems like an obvious statement, correct? Like, I'm sure all of you would agree. Yeah, if I'm feeling fucking depressed, bro, of course it's hard to take action. If I'm feeling ashamed of who I am, yes, I'm probably not going to walk up to a woman and confidently, proudly be like, hi, I'm Andy. How's it going? I'd love to get to know you. Yeah, if I'm ashamed, I'm probably not going to do that. I'm just going to sit at home playing video games, not having a shower, not getting dressed. I'm going to feel ashamed. I don't have any energy. I don't have any motivation. And then if you look a little bit higher up, in the middle is like pride and courage and neutrality. But let's just pick courage right now. Courage. If you're someone who feels a lot of courage, don't you think that it's a lot easier to go out and talk to women or go and start a business or go and lose weight? Yes, you feel courage. Of course, you just wake up and be like, all right, I can fucking do this. Let's fucking do this. So it's more motivating. It's more empowering. You get more done. You take more action. If we look even higher up on this list, let's pick acceptance. And acceptance is like accepting reality. It's something that Stoics talked about. Reality is the way that it is. Let's accept that and then learn to work with it instead of arguing with reality and wishing things would be different. Learn to not try and control the things that you cannot change. There are things you cannot change. You can't stop the sun from rising this morning. So accept that, work with it, and then adapt and overcome. Like, acceptance is a fucking powerful way to live your life, especially accepting that right now, this guy, and any of you listening who are in the same position, this guy right now, the fact is he uses alcohol as a crutch to talk to women. Accept that instead of arguing with it and saying it shouldn't be like this. I'm a little pussy. It shouldn't be like this. When you call yourself a little pussy and argue with reality and say it should be different, it should be different, that is right down the bottom of this map of consciousness. It's guilt. You're guilt tripping yourself and you're feeling a little bit ashamed about yourself. That's where that fear of meeting the women sober during the daytime, because you're afraid, holy fuck, they'd see that I'm sober and they'd know that I was drunk. That's guilt and shame. That's not very empowering. It doesn't feel good, which is probably why, if I keep scrolling down, and we'll read out the rest of it in a second, he goes on to say he's not feeling very empowered right now. He's really fucking struggling to go out and talk to women and work on his goals. Yeah, because you're putting yourself, you don't know that you're doing it. And so you don't have to feel guilty about using guilt. You don't have to do more of it. It can become like a spiral. But right now you're using guilt and shame to try and motivate yourself. That's what calling yourself a little pussy does. You're trying to guilt trip yourself into going and taking action. It's the second least, productive emotion. And by the way, I didn't mention it, but this entire map of consciousness, as it's called, this list of, the main categories of emotions, this isn't all the emotions, it's the main categories of emotions. Or you might say states of being, levels of consciousness, as the guy who made it calls it. It was made by a guy called David Hawkins, who I've mentioned many times. And I even have a chapter on this in my Play to Win video course. So this is the chapter. I literally have a whole chapter on the map of consciousness. And, I talk about, you can see the little map of consciousness there on the left-hand side. I talk about like who it was developed by, how it was developed. He was a psychologist, a clinical psychologist, worked with like tens of thousands of patients. He was like really famous. He was on TV. It's like back in the day, in like the 50s or something, 60s. And he died recently. He died like 10 years ago. But he was also a spiritual teacher, and he worked a lot with people on happiness and love and all of that kind of stuff and spiritual journeys. He's written like 10 or 15 books. They're all really, really, really great books. And yeah, I talk about like how to rise up the map of consciousness. Again, all of this is in my Play to Win video course, which you can pay whatever you want for that. Pay $1, pay whatever you feel like. And I have a whole chapter, like I said, on the beautiful map of consciousness, the hierarchy of emotions. So back to the map of consciousness. Look right up the top. Peace, joy, love. Joy, you can kind of almost just think of like excitement that never really leaves you, like excitement for life. Love is just like a love of life, love of every human being, complete non-judgmentalism. You just love everyone equally. You love your brothers, you love your sisters, you love strangers on the street. That's what he means by love, like unconditional love for your fellow human beings. This is all the stuff that, religions talk about. Like Jesus talked about unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness, love thy neighbor, treat everyone else as if they're you, like the Good Samaritan story from the Bible. And if you're not religious, that's fine. I'm not religious either. But these people have some really good fucking stories. People like Gandhi, people like Buddha, people like Jesus. Doesn't matter if you believe in the religion itself, but there's some really good fucking teachings in there of how to feel unconditional love, how to be kind to your neighbor, even when you're angry or grumpy or emotional. And if you live your life from that place of pure love, which is where I try and live my life from, trying to give out as much love to all of you as I can, to strangers on the street. I love everyone equally as much as I possibly can. I've done my very best, and I continue to do so, of letting go of judgmentalism, which, by the way, is kind of, what calling yourself a little pussy is. It's judgmentalism. And don't take that as then, okay, so I should judge myself for judging myself. No, it's okay. You're a human being, and you're trying your best. And right now you're using guilt to try and push yourself, because that's what most people do. Most people don't know any better. No one's ever shown the vast majority of human beings this fucking map of consciousness. No one's ever thought like, wait, is guilt tripping even effective? It's slightly effective sometimes, but most of the time you end up just feeling shit about yourself, and then you spiral and you keep feeling worse and worse. I think we would all agree feeling courage, or even being neutral, which is where you just say, right now I use alcohol to help me talk to girls. Like, that's the neutral statement. There's no judgment about it. There's no like, and that's a bad thing because I'm a little pussy and I'm a beta male and I should stop doing it and I should feel ashamed. Then what's wrong with me? Like, that's all the judgment shit. If you just take that away and speak neutrally and say, right now I use alcohol to help me talk to girls. Cool. Do I want to keep doing that? Would I like to do it a bit less? And then you just neutrally, rationally, calmly say, yeah, maybe I'll try having a bit less alcohol. Cool. And you just get to work. Like, I think you would agree that's way more effective than this whole fucking self-flagellation of guilt and shame of like, why am I such a pussy? Like, you literally waste energy. Again, you don't know you're doing it. You don't realize you're doing it. Otherwise, you just stop immediately. Sometimes you need someone like me or David Hawkins or any of these people to point it out to you. You might need a therapy. This is what therapy is. It's a lot of the time pointing out, hey, what you're doing right now might not be the most effective way to get what you want. What if we let go of some of that shame and that guilt and that fear, and we move up towards courage, or we act a little bit more neutrally, or even we talk about things from a love or a joy point of view. You could, instead of saying I'm a little pussy, you could be like, man, I'm so fucking excited to figure out how to drink less. Man, this is going to be so fucking cool. Damn, dude, like right now I can do it drunk, which is like really fucking cool. It's cool that I can do it at all. I'm grateful for that. how do I work on doing it with less alcohol? Bro, it's going to be so cool. Man, imagine the day when I can just walk up to a woman sober and I'm like, hey, beautiful, what are you up to? You're so cute. Are you single? And she's like, yeah, I am. And I'm like, fucking just ready for it. And I'm just good. I don't need alcohol. Holy shit, that's going to be so exciting, man. Oh, God, I'm getting excited right now just thinking about it. When you get that excited, which again is like really high up on the map of consciousness, up in love or joy, you're just feeling fucking love and joy and courage. Like when you're at that point, bro, I can't stop you from going outside and talking to women or any of you who want to start a business. I can't stop you from starting a business. Like when you're excited, nothing is going to get in the way. Like it's just fucking happening. It's almost like you're on a mission that's higher than you. It's not even about you anymore. It's about how exciting this mission is. You feel it pulling you towards it. Like you don't even have to use motivation anymore. You're not pushing yourself. You're being pulled towards what you want by excitement. That is the power of this, or realizing this map of consciousness and choosing the emotions at the top, because it is a choice. As I said in this chapter of the Play to Win video course, everything is a story. You're in control of the stories you tell. And you notice how here, when I've, like in this video, I've rewritten this story a few times. Like instead of saying I'm a pussy and what's wrong with me and I should be ashamed and I can't do this and I'm such a little beta male loser, I've rewritten that story, because it is just a story. And I've told a story of like, wow, it's so cool that you can do it at all. It's so amazing that you've been this courageous. Now let's just work on having a little bit less alcohol, and that's going to be so exciting. You see how when I tell you that, when any of you listen to that, you probably in your fucking body feel like motivation. You're probably like, whoa, damn, dude. Like, yeah, this is going to be cool. This is exciting. I can do this. Maybe I can do this. Like literally you feel empowered by the story that you tell. And understand that we, again, as I say in this chapter title, we have complete control over the stories that we tell. You're in control of the stories that you tell. You don't know sometimes that you're in control. Sometimes you think you're just being realistic. You're like, no, dude, I'm just being a realist. Like I am a little pussy. It's like, no, you think you're being realistic, but you're actually being negative. I've done content with that title. Like you think you're being a realist, but are you actually just being negative? And everything's a story. When you're being negative and what you might call realistic, but you're not being realistic. It's just one way of viewing things. You can tell a story that that you should feel guilt and shame for being such a pussy and needing alcohol, or you can tell a neutral story of like, yeah, right now I use alcohol as a crutch. That's the whole story. That's the neutral story. Just a statement of facts and nothing more, nothing less. No judgment, no like it's good, it's bad. Just right now I'm using alcohol as a bit of a crutch. Cool. Or you can tell a positive story of like, man, I'm using alcohol as a crutch right now. And bro, like it's going to be so cool to get off this crutch and slowly use it less. I mean, think about it. If you break your leg and you're on crutches, you could sit there and tell a story of like, these crutches are the worst thing ever. This is so bad. I can't believe I need crutches to walk. What's wrong with me? I'm such a fucking loser. I should be able to walk. You're probably not going to do that. That would be weird. You're just like, yeah, right now I need these crutches. And I'm excited to get off these crutches. It'll be really cool when I can walk again. You tell a story of excitement. Alcohol is just a crutch for you right now. And for any of you listening who use alcohol, the same way this guy does, alcohol is just a crutch. Get excited about getting off that crutch. Get excited about slowly needing it less. If any of you are fucking alcoholics, like, I don't think this guy is, but like, I have been an alcoholic in my life quite a few times. You don't have to sit there and feel guilt and ashamed about it. In fact, in those moments where I was drinking a lot, I was like, man, I'm really excited to like read Alcoholics Anonymous books and learn all of that and figure out how it all works. I'm so excited to not use alcohol every day. It's going to be so cool when I don't need alcohol. That immediately makes it so much fucking easier to stop drinking. Right now I haven't had a drink in like, I don't know, 2 months. And then before that, I hadn't drunk in like 2.5 years. And then I had a few drinks for like a month. And then I was like, fuck it. I don't want to drink again. I'm going to go on another long period, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. We'll see. And not drink anything. It's not that difficult because I'm fucking empowering myself by the stories that I tell about the alcohol. Instead of telling a story of like shame and guilt about why am I drinking? What's wrong with me? I'm such a fucking pussy. I can't believe I need alcohol. I'm such a loser. That doesn't empower me. I tell a positive story of like, it's going to be so cool when I'm off this. Man, think of all the free like energy and motivation and headspace I'll have when I'm sober. This is going to be so cool. So you can tell the same fucking story here. So this map of consciousness, again, made by a psychologist and he was also a spiritual teacher, David Hawkins. Like I said, I have a whole chapter on it in my Play to Win video course. You can also buy his book. I mean, he's written a ton of books, but probably the one you want to start with is actually one of the last books that he wrote, but it's probably the most useful. It has the most reviews, like 10,000 reviews on Amazon. It's called Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender. And look, I bought this book back in 2021. That's a long time. It's like 3 years, hey. I actually have a copy of it. Look, here's my copy, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender. What a great fucking book. I love this book so much. Highly recommend. It is very dense, and what I mean by that is he uses a lot of very verbose language, very big words. And so it can take a little bit when you first start reading to like adjust to that. Like this isn't necessarily a super easy to read book, especially if you struggle with big words. You might have to look up some of the words. I do. I need to look up some of the words, so no shame in that. But highly recommend this book. Another one that also really helps with beating yourself up a bit less and rising up the map of consciousness is this one. You Can't Afford the Luxury of a Negative Thought. It's literally a book about how to be more positive and how to be more optimistic. This is very easy to read. So if you struggle with reading Letting Go, I'd probably read this. I would also just, like I said, like probably the easiest thing, probably the most accessible thing for all of you is just grab my Play to Win video course. Like I literally talk about how to build a winner's mindset, how to be more positive, how to not beat yourself up as much, how to be kinder to yourself, how to be more grateful, how to be more in the moment, all of the stuff we've talked about here. And this is cheaper than those two books too. You know, you can pay whatever you want for my video course. It's pay by donation. If you want to pay me $1, pay me $1. You know, some people pay more, some people pay $1. Pay whatever you want. All right, let's read out the rest of this guy's comment. All right. So it goes on to say, I'm moving back to London for a bit to make some money. Amazing, dude. That's so cool. And I see this as a perfect time to start approaching women again. Actually, the perfect time is right this second, wherever you are in the world right now. It's not waiting until you get to London and everything's perfect. That, again, is just making it into a really big, scary thing where you have to wait until all the conditions are perfect. You will do yourself a really big favor, and any of you in the same situation, if you go and start saying hello to some women right now. And again, you can do it in either of the ways that I just said. Either do my little approach anxiety program, which, you know, this program here, give yourself permission to start, go outside and start thinking about hitting on women. Like literally that is productive. I say this to all of my coaching clients. You know, if you just go outside and start thinking about talking to women, that's a step forward. Like, I don't give a fuck if you actually do it or not. We'll work on that later. You have, you know, weeks and weeks and weeks to get to that point, but go outside and start thinking about it. So that's one thing you could do right now before you move to London. And the same as, you know, any of you who aren't in a perfect city, go outside and start thinking about talking to each woman that you see. You could also do the alcohol thing that I said. You could go out to some bars wherever you are. And if you normally have 3 drinks before you talk to a woman, try having 2.5 and then talk to a few women. Then try having 2. Like literally you could start taking action right now. And I highly recommend it because what usually happens if you wait is you'll say, I'll move to London or I'll move to some big city or I'll wait till the time is right. Like so many of you, on a side note, will email me or something and be like, hey bro, like, you know, I want to sign up for the coaching, but now's not the right time. And I'm like, first of all, why'd you fucking email me to tell me that? Like, I'm not going to help you feel better about your guilt, which is obviously why you're emailing me. You know, I don't want you to feel guilt, but like you're feeling guilt because you know in your heart of hearts that like now is the right time, even if it feels like it's not the right time. So anyway, that's a side note. But yeah, same thing here. Rather than waiting until the perfect time, start right now. Because what will happen is you'll move to London or you'll move to that perfect place. And then all of a sudden, now is, you know, all the circumstances are perfect, but all of that fear is still there. And so it's day one, you've just moved to London and you'll go, fuck, I can't do this. And so then you'll tell yourself, okay, I should wait till I've like bought a bed and like moved in everything into my apartment. And I got to make sure my apartment's nice and pretty. Cause after all, I'll be bringing girls back here. So I got to make sure I got to get some cushions and some shit like that. And then you get all that shit. It'll take you a week. You'll procrastinate approaching women for a week. And then the week is over and you'll go, okay, I guess everything's perfect. No more excuses. Fuck, but I still feel all this fear because I've made this into such a big deal when really it's not. You're just going outside and saying hi to women. Hi, that's it. That's all you're doing. But you've made it into a big deal. So then you'll find the next thing to procrastinate with and you'll go, fuck, man, maybe I need to clean the apartment. I mean, it was kind of clean when I moved in, but maybe I need to clean it even more. You'll spend 3 days cleaning the shit out of it. And then you'll go, fuck, man, I still don't feel good. I know now's the perfect time. Everything's perfect. No excuses. Maybe I need some better clothes. I don't know if my fashion's good enough. You'll go and waste a couple of days buying some clothes and doing all that bullshit. And you'll just keep procrastinating for days, weeks, months. And some people procrastinate for years. You'll go down the rabbit hole of going, maybe I need to learn more pickup artist stuff. Maybe I need to memorize a bunch of lines. Maybe I need to go to the gym and become a bodybuilder and look like a fucking god. And then you look like a god and you're like, yeah, but like maybe I could be even more of a god. I have a guy in my coaching program right now who's a virgin, and he looks like an absolute fucking just, he's the most handsome man I've ever fucking, not ever, but like he's ridiculously fucking handsome. He has like abs, he has muscles. I showed, with his permission, I showed his picture, a shirtless picture and a normal picture to Imogen, to Bronwyn, the other girl that we're dating, to a couple of other girls, to some female friends. And I said, can you just tell me like what you think of this guy? And they were like, holy fuck, he's really attractive. Like he's ridiculously handsome. And I showed him that. I showed him screenshots of them saying that. And I was like, see, bro, like I told you, like you're really attractive. But he's like, maybe my arms need to be slightly bigger. And I then relayed that to, all the girls that I'd asked. And they were like, why do his arms need to be bigger? That's at that point, that's like body dysmorphia. He's like really hot. He has muscles. He's like ridiculously hot. Tell him to go talk to women. And he is. Like he's doing that now. He'll lose his virginity in probably the next 2 weeks, but it shows you that you can keep procrastinating and pushing something back forever, and you just keep making excuses. So the kindest thing that you could do for yourself right now would be to go outside and start thinking about hitting on women. And if you can hit on them, that's amazing. But if you can't, just think about it. Or go to a bar and work on having a little bit less alcohol each time and just baby step that. Same thing for any of you that are like, I want to join Andy's coaching program, but now's not the right time. That's like so fucking many of you. Just fucking sign up for the program right now. When it doesn't feel like it's the right time, don't you think that's the time you most need coaching so you can learn to be productive when everything isn't perfect? And again, for this guy right here, right now, whatever city or town or whatever you're in, it feels like it's not the perfect time. Don't you think it would be an amazing lesson to show yourself that even when you're not in the perfect situation, not in the perfect city, you can still approach women? And then when you get to London, the big, fancy, amazing city, holy fuck, it'll be easy for you because you have a momentum. So same, again, any of you that want to sign up for coaching, jump on a call with me and we can talk about this shit. Like, you don't have to wait. In fact, I don't recommend you wait. It would be better for you to take action, meet some women, or start a business, or lose some weight, or whatever you want when circumstances aren't perfect, so that when it is perfect circumstances, now you can make the most of it. Because what usually happens is people will wait to join the coaching or wait to talk to girls until everything is perfect and they've moved to the right city and all of that. And then they come to the coaching program and they're like, okay, bro, like everything's perfect. I'm ready to go. And I'm like, okay, cool. Go outside and talk to women. And then we spend like 4 weeks just literally baby stepping them through what I already have on my website, this approach anxiety program here. They could have just done this approach anxiety program, with me in the city where it wasn't perfect. And then when they moved to the city, then they would make the most of it. So in other words, it sounds funny, but by waiting until the supposed perfect time to join coaching, they're actually not making the most of the city that they're in or whatever circumstances they've waited for. So again, it makes so much more sense to join the coaching program or go outside and talk to women or start your business when it's not perfect. If you want the ultimate fucking proof of this, let's get big for a second. When did I start my website? Do any of you know when I started my website? When I started writing articles, and then when I started offering coaching? 2020. Do you want to know roughly what month? April. Can you think of anything interesting that happened on a world scale around 2020 April? I don't know. A global fucking lockdown, a global fucking pandemic, people literally, especially in my country, not being allowed to go outside, definitely not being able to date. All the dating apps putting fucking messages on the screen saying, don't meet people, make sure you just social distance. Why don't you have a date over Zoom? Don't you dare fucking meet anyone or you're going to kill everybody in the entire world, you fucking loser. I built a dating business, a sex and dating business during the start or at the start of a global fucking pandemic and a lockdown when everybody was afraid of each other and terrified to meet. Does that sound like the perfect time to build a business? No. That sounds like the worst time to build a business. That's like trying to build a fucking banking business or something during a world economic fucking crisis or a global recession. But I did it. And so what do I have now? I have peace of mind that even if we go into another pandemic or we go into another fucking lockdown or fucking World War III starts, I'll be like, that's cool. Like, I fucking built a business during the worst time of all time to ever build a business. I'll be able to make money and help people and survive during a fucking world war or something like that. Like, there's no issue. I've done it. And so that is why I say either go outside and talk to women when you're still not in London, because you're showing yourself that you don't wait until things are perfect, because life is always going to get in the way. Something is always going to come up. With my coaching, there is no perfect time to start. Well, there is. It's right this fucking second, literally immediately. That's why I have things like payment plans, so that you won't stress and go like, now's not the right time. I don't have all the money saved up. It's like, you don't need to. Take a payment plan. And people go like, oh yeah, but like I got to wait until, I can make the most of it. No, you make the most of it by starting right now. The way that momentum builds is you put a lot of effort in at the start, and then you start slowly snowballing and building momentum. If you right now try and do everything on your own, you have no fucking momentum. You want to get that momentum quick and fast, either by, the coaching program if you're interested, or going outside and approaching women, or starting a business, including during the start of a fucking lockdown and pandemic. Especially in my country, we were doing lockdowns for the next 2 years. Like literally we did lockdowns like for a year or so after America was done with their last, it was like a year and a half after America was done with their last lockdown. We were still doing lockdowns like every 2 or 3 weeks. Like we were fucking crazy. And I was building a sex and dating business during all of that. And so if I can do that, you sure as fuck can either join the coaching program if you're interested in it. And if you're not, great, whatever. But if you're interested in it, but you've been waiting, fucking sign up now. If you've been wanting to go outside and talk to women, but you've been waiting, fucking do it right now. So he goes on to say, I use the approach anxiety program. So he's talking about good looking losers approach anxiety program, not my approach anxiety program. But I only got up to the point where I asked for directions, and then I asked them if they'd been there. Yeah, that approach anxiety program had a whole lot of stuff that doesn't really help you when it comes to hitting on women. And that's why I made my approach anxiety program everything that has something to do with hitting on a woman. You're either thinking about hitting on a woman, you're smiling at a woman, you're giving a compliment to a woman, or you're making eye contact with a woman, or you're actually making small talk with her, or you're asking for a phone number. Like you're doing something that involves women that you would like to go on a date with or get to know. So yeah, I like to make it a little bit more targeted. So he goes on to say, could you please tell me what you think I should do to start approaching? Well, yeah, just like I've already answered that bit. And sleeping with women now, blah blah blah. When I've got money again, I'd love to do a coaching call with you. Yeah, dude, I'd love to have you in the fucking coaching program. Like hell yeah. You seem like, as I said at the start, I know you called yourself a little pussy here, but you seem like an incredibly fucking courageous person. The fact that you wrote all of this to all of us, by the way, shows you that you're courageous. And it's funny, the story that you've been telling of like, I'm a little pussy. It's like, dude, no, you're not. You're the last person on the planet I would ever call a pussy. Like, you're incredibly fucking courageous. And so many of you listening are exactly like this guy, right? You're putting all this pressure on yourself and you're like, I'm such a pussy because I couldn't talk to every woman that I saw that I'm attracted to. Why am I such a pussy? And it's like, bro, you're fucking courageous for even trying. You're courageous for even working on this shit. You're courageous for sharing it. So all of you are fucking courageous. You've just been telling a story that you're not. And that story doesn't serve you. It's very low down on that map of consciousness that I showed you. It's not empowering to say that you're a pussy. Anyway, so I'd love to do a coaching call with you. Yeah, bro, I'd love to have you in the fucking program. That'd be fucking amazing. One more thing, I really like how your website looks. The style is awesome. It's awesome you have a forum. I gave up my forum, like I've handed it over to other people, so I don't really have a forum anymore, but the forum still exists. It's at Winner Within. Just Google Winner Within forums. I handed that over to other people so that they can manage it. I just don't have the time to manage it and moderate it and all of that. It goes on to say, blah, 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 forums, blah, blah, blah. Do you know how I can create a website that has a forum? Yeah, Google it, my friend. I'm not going to do that work for you. Just use something like PHP, BB. Like, there's different forums. So just Google it, man. Do I pay someone on Fiverr? Yeah, you can, dude. Do I recommend anything? No, because I don't have a forum anymore and I'm not managing it. You can just go onto the forums and ask them if you want to. They might give you more of an answer, or pay me. Like if you do a coaching call with me, I'll answer this question. But like, I think it's separate from the discussion of this video, so I'm probably not going to go into depth. Just Google it, man, or go onto any forum and say, how did you guys build this forum? Anyways, God bless you, Andy Man. Ben, God bless you too, Ben, and God bless your fucking courage, man. Like, again, it's funny that you say at the very top of this, I'm a little pussy. No, you're not, Ben. Like, you're incredibly fucking courageous. Good job sharing all of this with all of us. Good job reaching out and asking for help. That's fucking courageous. Most people are really terrified to ask for help and they just don't, especially fucking men. Men really struggle to reach out and be like, guys, I'm struggling. I feel like a pussy. Can you help me? That's fucking courageous right there. The fact that you're walking up to women in bars, having a little bit to drink and then hitting on them and then going back and having sexual experiences with them, all of that can be really fucking scary. And you're doing that. The fact that you say, hey, I would like to be a little bit more sober when I do it, holy fuck, that speaks to your courage and your ambition. This is an incredibly amazing story of courage. You've just been telling the fucking story that it's a story of like being a pussy and shame and guilt. It's like, no, bro, like, holy fuck. Tell a different story. Your story is just one version of events and it's not very empowering. My story is a different version of events that's a lot more empowering. And so in my own life, I like to tell the stories that serve me. So you're an amazing, courageous person. So are any of you who are in a similar situation. I'm sure a lot of you guys, feel free to leave a comment if you're in a similar situation to this guy where you're like beating yourself up and you're like, I'm a pussy because I can't talk to every woman, or I can't talk to them sober. Or sometimes I walk past a girl and I want to talk to her, but then I just keep on walking and then I beat myself up and I'm like, why didn't you talk to her, pussy? Like, leave a comment if that's you, because I know that's a whole lot of you. That's like a lot of the people that come to my coaching program. So if you want my help with any of this, like I said, I would probably grab a copy of the Play to Win video course, this beautiful course right here. Pay whatever you want for that, pay $1. Also have a big hardcore coaching program. And I never really show the coaching program on the screen, do I? I just talk about it. So you can go to my coaching page, just go to killyourinaloser.com/coaching. There's a link in the description below that you can just click as well. And here's the coaching page. It talks about, like what's in the program, what we've helped people achieve. You can scroll through that and read all of that. And then I have a whole bunch of like video testimonials. I've done like hour-long, 2-hour-long, 3-hour-long interviews with a lot of the people that have been in the coaching program. Laz doubled his monthly income, went from 20 grand to 45 grand. Renee had sex with 12 women in 12 weeks and a threesome and had a girl write a love letter and, embraced BDSM and started trying all of that. This guy went on 34 dates. His mission was to just go on as many dates as he could and get some experience and learn to meet people and build connections. He had sex with 7 of those women. Earned a business or started a business, earned his first $500, lost weight. Ed, a lot of you know Ed, was depressed, 31, virgin, had severe erectile dysfunction, like his dick literally didn't work. And now he's an absolute legend. He's one of the coaches in my coaching program now. He literally became a coach alongside me. Avi had threesomes, started a business, published 34 videos for his new business. This guy was a virgin. He was an absolute fucking legend. I love this guy. I think we kept him anonymous, so I won't say his name. Did we keep him anonymous, or did I say his name? We did say his name. His name is Theo. He was a fucking legend. He went to an orgy as a virgin who was like very nerdy, very inexperienced. This guy, we helped him become a better father. We've worked with a couple of people on fatherhood, which has been really humbling because I obviously don't have kids, but it's nice to see that the philosophies and the principles that we talk about in the coaching program apply to things like fatherhood. This guy, Taylor, he had a threesome, moved to a different city, had a whole bunch of sex. He is now a coach in my coaching program as well. I got nothing but love for Taylor. He's such a great human being. Jack, oh my God, Jack moved across the country. Jack had this fucking dream, you guys, where he was like, I want to move across the country. I want to move to Hollywood and I want to live the party lifestyle and I want to have a bunch of sex. He lived with like very Asian, like very strict Asian parents. And he was just like, Mom, Dad, I'm moving to Los Angeles to Hollywood. And obviously they were like, no, you're fucking not. And he was like, guys, I'm like 20 something years old. I'm moving. I love you. And so like we coached him through that. That was like a big deal. Like, I was teaching him empathy, like he's empathetic, but I was teaching him like, look, your parents love you and that's why they're forceful. But at the same time, like it's your life. What would you like to do? We're going to support that, but let's still, have an amicable relationship with your family. Don't just like ditch your fucking family. You love them. They love you. Let's find a way to make this work. And he did, his parents are now comfortable with it. Yeah. He quit porn, started doing no fap. made a bunch of friends in the LA party scene too, and like even made friends with someone who's like an assistant to like a Hollywood celebrity. I'm not going to say which celebrity. I don't even think he told us which celebrity, but yeah, he did a whole bunch of crazy shit. He had a threesome with two girls that he met at a party. Like he just met two girls, two friends, and they had a threesome. So he talked about that. Jeff, fucking, I love Jeff. I still see Jeff sometimes. Jeff lives in my city, and probably like every 3 months, maybe every 6 months, I'll just bump into Jeff. I've bumped into him like maybe 5 or 6 times, and he'll be like, Andy, and I'll be like, Jeff, bro, and I'll give him a big hug. Yeah, he hadn't had sex in 9 years, and then in his 5th week in the coaching program, he'd learned to hit on a bunch of women. He was so fucking scared to hit on women. Like, holy shit, he couldn't do it at the start. We went out week in, week out. I coached him in person, and he eventually learned to hit on person, had sex, and started being very honest and authentic and real with girls, which was something he was really terrified of. Jeff is like a fucking legend. I have nothing but the utmost respect for Jeff. Gorky, that's how you say his name. He had a huge coaching journey. Like, look at this. Look at him on the left. So he didn't do this in coaching. Like, he lost this weight before coaching. On the right is more what he looked like in the coaching program. But doesn't this just show you the courage of this man? It's funny we talk about the stories that we tell. I tell a story that this guy is just a courageous, amazing human being. Like, he lost 110 pounds. That's like 50 kilos or something. Fucking insane. And he ended up having a threesome, had sex with 7 women during his coaching, like time in the coaching program, helped him start his own business. He learned to love himself. Like, he did so much. Oh, Dimitri, my boy. I got so much love for Dimitri. Dimitri, my man, started his own YouTube channel, earned $500, had sex with 3 women. When sex wasn't even his goal at all. He came to me to learn self-love. And yeah, we talked about that. Found peace, happiness, and self-acceptance. This interview, I highly recommend listening to that. Like, he talked so much about mindset and happiness and self-love. Like, he has so much wisdom to share in this. All of these people have so much wisdom. That's what these are. That's why you can see like this one's 2 hours, 2.5 hours. Like, these interviews are long because I pick people's brains and I'm like, what worked for you? What didn't work for you? How can someone else who's in the same situation as you change their life? Like, these interviews, we literally make them to like give value. It's not just like a coaching testimonial. If it was a coaching testimonial, it would be like 15 minutes long. And I'd be like, why is the coaching program great? Why am I so great? Why is Andy the best coach in the world? But no, they're like, they have to give value. So yeah, you can flick through this if you want to. There's so many more fucking videos throughout this whole article. Yeah, here's one, an interview with someone who had sex with like 10 women in the coaching time. Here's a virgin who had sex. I've just like littered these. I've got too many of these testimonials that I don't always like put them. Here's one we did with 4 people from the coaching program. So I interviewed 4 of the coaches, 4 of the clients at the same time. There was so much value in this one. Holy fuck. These guys like killed that interview. There's so much value in that. So yeah, there's lots of value. Chris, my boy Chris. I'm getting nostalgia in case you guys can't tell. Like, I haven't flicked through this page in a while. I go back and talk to some of these guys every now and then because they're all in the Discord group. We have like a members only Discord that any coaching client gets to stay in for the rest of their life. And I'll go back and be like, guys, what have you been up to? Like, yeah, how's your goals? Like, how's your fucking life? So I got nothing but Ravi, my boy Ravi. I could do an entire fucking essay on how much I love Ravi. Holy fuck, dude. Yeah, these guys, like, I got nothing but love for these. Fucking hell. I'm getting too much nostalgia. This is like really difficult for me to just like keep flicking. Not difficult, but I want to, fuck it. Let's go through the whole thing. I don't know if you guys give a fuck about me going through the whole thing, but like, Alistair, my man, holy fuck, dude. Like, oh my fucking God. Harry, stop, fucking hell. I'm just getting too much nostalgia. There's even a video down here that talks about like what's in the coaching program. Cam and I sat down and said like, look, here's specifically everything that's in the coaching program. Like what areas we coach people on, like how mindset can help you and how we talk about that. So like, this is actually a pretty good video. If you want to know like what's in the coaching program, I would just go and watch that. Like if you've been thinking about it. Oh, my fucking boy. We helped him be a better father and he embraced like BDSM and stuff like that as well. Cause he was like a single father. Oh my fucking God, dude. Imogen. Yeah, Emmy even did one. Emmy did a video about like how Andy essentially coached me. Like, because she was essentially like my first coaching client, sort of. Like, we were dating, obviously, but I treated her like a coaching client before I was even doing coaching. I didn't even have a website when I met Emmy. Like, I'd never even considered having a blog or having a community or any of that. So, shows you how far we've come in about like 6 years. Oh, fucking hell, man. Like, I'm getting so much nostalgia. Jesus Christ. Anyway, All that's on my coaching page. Even if you have no interest in coaching, honestly, I recommend just go to the fucking coaching page. Watch some of these interviews. You don't even have to be interested in coaching. Again, most of what I talked about in all of these interviews is like mindset and how they achieved their goals and how you can do the same thing. And you're hearing wisdom from the people who actually changed. Me, Andy, I'm just one person. I can give you all my advice and what worked for me. But if you listen to like I think I've got like 50 of the. I think I've done like 50 of these. There's a playlist on YouTube as well with all of these. If you listen to all of that, it's like 50 different people telling you their perspective, what worked for them, what didn't work for them. You'll start to see patterns emerge, and mindset's obviously the most important thing that comes up. And self-improvement, like that's probably second, but yeah, if any of you are interested in that, go check that out. If you want to join the coaching program, I would love to have you in there. We have payment plans, all of that stuff. I'm happy to jump on a free call with you. I do like 1 or 2 of those a week. Just do a free call. Hey, like it's not a coaching call, but like, do you want to join the coaching program? What are you interested in? Like, what do you want from life? What are you struggling with? Like, kind of talk through all of that. And those are free. Happy to do one of those so you can figure out if you want the coaching program. And I will leave a link to all of that and the Play to Win video course and all of that. But again, yeah, if any of you are like this beautiful guy here, Ben, if you can resonate with him, why don't we do something nice for Ben? And any of you who feel the same, like feel free to leave a comment just like this guy did and, share what you're struggling with and all of that. But why don't we do something nice for Ben? Why don't we all leave a comment below and say, Ben, you're a fucking legend, or Ben, you're a legend. You're a top fucking G. You're a top little fella. You're doing a good job. Let's give Ben some love. And any of you who feel the same as Ben, let's give you some love as well. Because at the end of the day, you are all incredibly fucking courageous by virtue of just being here and trying to work on yourself. That already takes courage. You can tell that story that you're a courageous, absolute legend doing absolutely legendary things.